Two companies, born in the same country, built with the same raw materials, competing for the exact same customers. And yet somehow, a Toyota engine feels like a dependable tractor, while a Honda engine feels like a caged animal waiting to be let loose. It's not the parts, it's not the fuel, it's the DNA. Toyota was built by weavers who perfected the art of gradual, flawless repetition. Honda was built by a man who crashed race cars for fun. One company designed engines to never break, the other designed them to win. To understand why these two engines feel like they come from entirely different universes, we have to understand the men who built them. The men behind the machines. Toyota started as a spinning loom company. Looms live and die by precision and repetition. One defect and the whole factory line stops and money is lost. That utility-first mindset carried straight into their cars. Toyota doesn't care whether an engine is exciting, they care whether it can run for 30 years without a single hiccup. Their philosophy of stopping the entire line the moment a defect appears is exactly why their engines feel so consistent. They're the product of 100 years spent perfecting the same motion over and over. Soichiro Honda was the opposite, a grease monkey with a short fuse and an obsession with speed. He spent long nights as a young man just trying to make piston rings survive the heat of a racing engine. When you drive a Honda today, you're driving that same obsession, and it shows up not as some secret ingredient in the metal, but in the geometry itself. Honda engines are typically over-square, with a bore wider than the stroke, letting them rev high and breathe deep. Toyota sticks closer to square or under-square designs, built for low-end torque and reduced wear over high RPM glory. How they breathe, VTEC versus VVT-i. Engines are really just big air pumps, and how they breathe defines their personality. Before VTEC, you had to choose a car that idles smoothly at stoplights or one that screams on the highway, never both. Honda's engineers found a way to use oil pressure to switch between two completely different cam profiles. At high RPM, a pin locks the rocker arms together and forces the engine onto a far more aggressive cam lobe, instantly changing how it breathes and pushing it all the way to 8,000 RPM. It's essentially two engines in one, a fuel-efficient commuter at low RPM, a race engine at high RPM. Toyota's VVT-i works completely differently. It adjusts valve timing, not lift, smoothly optimizing fuel economy and torque across the whole range, more like a conductor gradually adjusting an orchestra's tempo than a drummer suddenly switching genres. Toyota wants the engine efficient at every RPM, not just the high ones. That's exactly why a Toyota feels so linear and predictable, while a Honda feels like it's saving something for later. If engineering philosophy like this is the kind of content you want more of, subscribe. There's a new deep dive like this one every week. Iron versus aluminum, how they handle stress. People love to say Toyotas are over-engineered. What that actually means is if a part only needs to be 2 millimeters thick to work, Toyota makes it 3 just in case. Toyota's legendary engines used heavy iron blocks for decades, heavier but incredibly stable, able to handle massive heat and pressure without complaint. Honda, being weight-obsessed racers, moved to aluminum much sooner, using tricks like fiber-reinforced metal cylinder liners, carbon and aluminum oxide fibers woven into the cylinder walls to create a surface harder than cast iron. It's brilliant engineering that saves weight, but it makes the engines more expensive and harder to rebuild if something goes wrong. That doesn't mean Honda engines are inherently fragile. A Honda K-Series can make 200 horsepower naturally aspirated, something Toyota struggled to match for years without a turbo. It's not fragility, it's a different way of managing stress. Honda through precision, Toyota through mass. The detuning secret. This difference in stress management leads straight into how each company thinks about lifespan. A Toyota Camry engine isn't impressive on paper. It makes enough power and no more. But here's the secret. Toyota deliberately detunes their engines. They'll design something capable of 250 horsepower and only ask for 180. Since the engine never runs at its true limit, the components simply don't wear out, like an athlete who spends a career power walking instead of sprinting. Honda does the opposite. They give you nearly everything the engine can safely handle, which is exactly why a Honda feels so alive under your foot. The Honda S2000 held the record for highest specific output of any naturally aspirated production engine for years, screaming to 9,000 RPM. And yet Honda still built a reputation for engines lasting 300,000 miles, not because they're overbuilt, but because of surgical tolerances and oiling systems so precise that every moving part floats on a microscopic film of oil, even at redline. If you're the kind of person who wants to actually understand what's happening under the hood, not just which badge to trust, subscribe now. The hybrid philosophies. Toyota effectively invented the modern hybrid with the Prius and its hybrid synergy drive, a planetary gear set blending gas and electric power so seamlessly you can't feel the transition. It's a parallel system, meaning the engine and the motor can both drive the wheels at the same time, a masterpiece of mechanical integration. Honda's early hybrid attempt, integrated motor assist, was simpler and felt more like a normal car, but it wasn't nearly as efficient. Their modern system, intelligent multi-mode drive, flips the philosophy entirely. Most of the time, the gas engine isn't even connected to the wheels. It just generates power for an electric motor, only clutching in directly at highway speed. Toyota prioritizes mechanical blending. Honda basically built an EV that carries its own generator. Living with them, serviceability, and feel. Ask any mechanic which is easier to work on and you'll get a split answer. Toyota engine bays are logical and roomy because Toyota doesn't mind a slightly bigger car if it means easier service. Long life coolant, spark plugs rated for 120,000 miles. Hondas are packed in tight because Soichiro wanted small, light, low center of gravity cars that corner well, even if that means sacrificing your knuckles to reach a sensor behind the intake manifold. But Honda uses fewer specialized bolts. You can take apart a 90s Honda with 3 socket sizes and not much else. Toyota builds for the mechanic's easy day. Honda builds for how the car feels in a corner. If this kind of side-by-side breakdown is useful to you, hit subscribe. It genuinely helps this channel keep making them. The verdict. Better is a dangerous word in the car world. If better means the most miles for the least money, Toyota wins outright. They're the refrigerator of the car world. You never think about it until it stops working, and it almost never stops working. But we're lucky to have both philosophies. Toyota keeps the world moving, Honda keeps it exciting. Toyota says get there safely and reliably every single time. Honda says have fun on the way, and maybe take the long route through the mountains. Even as both companies adapt, Honda embracing turbos for efficiency, Toyota now doing the same with overbuilt liquid-cooled units to protect that legendary longevity, the core philosophy hasn't really changed. One is a master of the destination, the other is a master of the journey. So which one are you? A perfectionist who values the peace of mind of a bulletproof block, or a redline rebel who lives for the moment VTEC kicks in? Let me know in the comments, and drive safe out there. Thanks for watching.